Hear, hear.
Lords, I rise to support all the amendments in this group, but actually especially Amendment 1. As we start report stage, and also the first of several groups focusing on 0 hours contracts, for I'll only speak in this group, I just want to emphasise why getting the wording and balance in this part of the bill is important for both proportionality and to avoid unintended consequences. Many of us were originally supportive of this bill's commitment to tackle the rise of 0 hours contracts, especially in retail and hospitality. Certainly, tackling the way these have been used in an exploitative way is welcome. But in the course of committee, the government, I think, acknowledged that they need to offer, there needs to be the offer of some flexibility, and that is what certain cohorts of workers want. Relating to Amendment 1, the TUC's briefing on this bill complains that the vast majority who ask for guaranteed hours are turned down. But surely the point of Amendment 1 is the requirement that they will not be turned down, and that actually the employer what's actually happening here is that there is a shift to a right to request guaranteed hours onto the employee. And I'd have thought that that would reassure the TUC's worries. It empowers the employee, but it avoids an over-rigid imposition of the bill's requirements on businesses regardless of the situation. These sort of details matter now that we are finalising what will be in the bill. I'm not sure how helpful it is that, for example, some in trade union circles and government circles have briefed recently that getting into the details amounts to being, quote, on the side of bad bosses and 0 hour contracts and fire and rehire, and that's to quote the Deputy Prime Minister. But we're here to make law, not to make headlines, and law means accepting that the devil is indeed in the detail. The government knows there are lots of worries about unresolved aspects of this bill. Indeed, Jonathan Reynolds, the Business Secretary, cited in the FT recently, assures us that he is absolutely certain of addressing businesses' concerns, and he says either over statutory probation period or pertinent to this group of amendments that there is more than enough room, he says, to reach an agreement on guaranteed hours. But to quote, he says, I have to have the bill passed before we go into implementation. But I'd suggest that that's the wrong way round. If there's more than enough room to reach agreement on things like guaranteed hours, then let's put this on the face of the bill. In other words, the amendments in this group are trying to pin down how a new right to guaranteed hours should be framed in regulations, and I think it brings clarity. That these amendments are meant to help the government, because I'm worried that too many important details are being kicked down the road, hence avoiding democratic debate and scrutiny, but also creating a real mood of uncertainty amongst employers, and we've had warnings from business about the bill harming an already fragile economy and so on. But I think these kind of concerns are trickling down to workers too. I work with a lot of young people at the Academy of Ideas, and the initial warm enthusiasm for the bill has gone rather cold. I've actually been talking to, sorry, I've just lost my page, been talking to one young man who wrote a missive for us talking about hospitality and how much it's done for him. Omar has written a letter saying that he's actually concerned that what he thought was going to be in his interests might actually turn out to not be in his interests. He says that hospitality is an industry that has been flexible enough to rely on youth employment and allowed many of us a way in to work. It has taught us many useful lessons and has built my confidence as a person, and now I fear the legislation will reduce the opportunities and misses the mark. And referring to this amendment, he just wants the right to be able to ask for hours, but he doesn't want anything that will disrupt the flexibility of hospitality in doing so. And in that context, I think it echoes the balanced way that the group was moved by the noble Lord Goddard of Stockport. Just finally, in relation to Baroness Carberry of Muswell Hill, she asked us to consider the balance of power. She says that young workers are least likely to understand their rights, least likely to be able to exert them. She hasn't met any of the young people I know, and in fact Omar's sitting below bar there before he goes on his shift working in hospitality, and I can assure you he's more than capable of asserting his rights and understanding them too. I just want to say that the danger here is that we patronise those young workers. We impose on them on the basis that they won't be able to cope, and that's paternalism, and it underestimates the young. So I would suggest that this is giving rights to young workers, and it doesn't disrupt an industry that many young workers are dependent on. And that is exactly the kind of proportionality I'd hope that the government would welcome.